Well, good evening, everyone. Actually being almost on time. It's 8:01, so we've made some improvements from last week. It's a lot to get together if you've ever done anything like this to be able to get a live stream together. But tonight, same thing we've been doing. I like the format. I like the interaction we've been able to have in the chat room. So just talking about the projects that we've done, everything throughout the week. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them. I'm not a brilliant man, so I'm not going to say we should take all of my advice at its face value, but I will do my best to help you out. And tonight, it's not just me that you guys are talking to and listening to, also joined by Ryan from Backwoods Lawncare. So Ryan, welcome and happy Sunday.
Thank you for having me, Jason.
Absolutely. This is fun. So I've enjoyed this very much to this point. Let's see. I'm getting an error message. If anybody wants to let me know if everything's working fine on your end. Yeah, that's true. You can be my monitor as well since you're watching it. But if everybody wants to let me know if you can hear us, all right, you can hear Ryan, you can hear myself, you can see us, etc. Because YouTube's giving me some sass that things aren't maybe working correctly. But
it's typical.
Yeah. Merry Sunday.
Such a delay.
So
that's crazy.
So typically, I would start with talking about what I've done throughout the week, but maybe let's start with tell us a little bit about what you got going over there. So you're a fellow backyard putting green enthusiast, and maybe just tell us a little bit about what you got going on there and your channel, etc. Introduce yourself to the people.
Watch my videos, you know that I am Backwoods, aka Ryan, which is my actual name. And I do have a backyard putting green. My lawn has been neglected for the past week because I've been busy shingling my roof, which is a huge task to do on your own. So the lawn is paying the price for that. But putting green is doing good. It's overgrown right now because I haven't had time to mow it. It's sitting at about 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch right now. So when I go to mow it, I'll be scalping it. I won't be like lowering the height of cut. I'm just going to scalp it.
Yeah, especially at this point, you might as well just send it because it's spring and it'll do fine. Especially for you because you're just now waking up in terms of growth too, right?
Yeah, when I scalp it, I mean, like right now it looks pretty green, and I'll scalp it, it'll look brown, but give or take 2 weeks after that, it'll just start looking the way it should look. But that's what happens when you can't get to mowing. When you cut 3/16 of an inch, you miss like a day, then it just punishes you.
Yeah, and that's actually why I'm excited to try out the plant growth regulator and see how that works. The last 2 days, I will say, I've had a lot less grass in the catcher, but it's also fairly drought. It won't rain here, and that's so weird for the Midwest. It's usually just praying for like an hour and a half where it stops raining and you can mow, and we haven't had that at all.
Do you actually water the putting green? Like, is there irrigation on it?
There's not irrigation on it. I have, so I had the 3 MP rotator above ground irrigation system that I think Ryan Nora was one of the first one to do a video on. So I have that, and I have those heads left, and one of those heads like perfectly covers my green.
Nice.
So I just use
the
that.
Same setup I have for mine. What kind of like heads do you use? Mine are like rainbirds, I think is what they're called.
It's the Hunter MP 3000. And yeah, so I do an hour and a half, which I actually haven't cup tested. I don't actually know how much water it's putting down. Yeah. I'm assuming it's about right. But I do 45 minutes on one side. Then when the timer goes off, I move it over to the other side just to make sure, since I'm only putting a half moon out, that I complete the rectangle.
Is it a rectangle? It's a circle.
Close enough. If you're, I don't know. Geometry was a long time ago.
Get the fringe too, right? That's...
Exactly, which that's been neglected too because I find changing the height of cut extremely irritating.
That's why I bought that Jacobson, which I haven't had a chance to use yet.
That's right. You're dual greens mower man as well.
I am now, anyways.
That's awesome. All right. Well, first of all, usually into the chat as well, but I've been talking to my cohort here. So Super TA, appreciate you coming out. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures. Happy Sunday. Thank you for stopping by. Lawn Engineer, the Lawn Analyst, what is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping. And yeah, maybe so you already talked about you roofed your own house by yourself this weekend, which is just beyond wild.
The main house is done. Now I still have like the breezeway and garage to go, but the majority of it is done. The hard stuff's done. And my pitch isn't like, my pitch is like this. So it's not exactly fun to climb up and down and all bundled with shingles.
So you're just back there, just up there billy goating, trying to not die.
Don't tell my wife that.
It's perfectly safe. Sorry. Yeah, it's perfectly safe up there.
Should you be tied off? I'm like, no, it'll be all right.
Do you do like the board on the ground or anything?
On the ground?
Like to put a board. I see typically the when they're out there, they have like a board down that they use to stand on.
That's what we call a chicken board. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
Like a platform to like work. You can't walk a roof that's that steep. Mine's a 10-12. I don't know if probably no one knows what that means.
So it goes up 10 inches for every 12 inches you go across.
It wasn't so long ago then, the geometry and stuff.
So yeah, I've actually had like a ton. I'm into that mode in Lawncare YouTube where I'm sure any of the creators in the chat would understand, where I am actually trying to do so much on such a limited period of time that I stop filming things, which you get really upset about afterwards. But like in the moment, because I've sprayed weeds on the fairway since that's never been treated before. So that's just almost like all weeds back there. Put out 4 yards of dirt on my side yard to fix the undulation over there and get a little more level so I can hopefully mow with the 48-inch lawnmower instead of having to mow with my 21-inch over there. Got that seeded. Did all that. Let's see, what else have I been doing? Fertilizer application. I put the 12-12-12 down from Yard Mastery. All of that, and I've filmed almost none of it, which I would not recommend, but it's what I've been doing. So also had some lawn journeys. What is up? Thank you for joining us. Grown with Greg, fellow Wisconsinite. Appreciate you stopping by. And Papa Mo's Low, happy Sunday to you as well. So yeah, now I'm just fighting the fact that I seeded that the dirt I put down, and now with watering it all the time, the existing grass that is growing through is starting to charge its way towards 5, 6, 7 inches tall, and I don't even have any germination yet because it's so cold, because it won't warm up here, which I'm sure is a complaint that falls on deaf ears with you up in Canada, but it's still not fun.
In my forecast for the next 7 days.
That's not fun, but at least it's rain.
It's true.
It might never rain here again. I don't know. It didn't rain in 2020. Hasn't rained this year yet.
You're gonna have to dig your own well just to irrigate.
Fortunately, I have a well to irrigate. I'm just trying my hardest not to.
That's understandable. I mean, I only water when I absolutely have to because I collect rainwater to water my lawn.
Yeah, and isn't your like house well feet deep?
I think it's only 13 feet deep and about 32 inches diameter.
How do you even get? Can you even take like showers? Like, can more than one person take a shower or something before that runs out?
It's a well. No.
I'm just so used to ours are like 100+ feet deep. Like I think my well is like 80 to 120 feet deep or something like that.
Which like we do have drilled wells up here, but like our house is an older house, so it's a typical just dug well with like tiles for it. So yeah, we can do laundry, dishes, shower. We can do all that stuff normally, but like for me to water the lawn, it's just not a risk I'm willing to take.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, and I just don't want to, for one, because I put a video out about not watering your yard, so I'm trying to hold to that advice. And two, I just hate it. I hate watering. it feels wasteful. It's a waste of my time.
I actually
I don't
enjoy
know.
watering because I'm usually just sitting out there having a beer, just watching the sprinklers go, which I find extremely relaxing. But I'm not wasting anything
Yeah,
because I got the
there's
water
that.
off my roof, so I don't. I was like, I'm
True. That is something. That is something I should try. Is because especially with my garage is detached, and I think it would be relatively easy to capture rain
absolutely.
off of that. So it's something I've thought about looking into, but there's so much to
Yeah,
do.
you do create more work, but for me, it is the only option. So, and if you
Yeah.
want that nice lawn, you do have to
All
be
right.
able to water at certain points.
Right. What's everybody? Couple of you in the chat room. What are you guys all working on this weekend? What's everybody got going on? So what do you got, Ryan? What do you got coming up here? What are your projects
Okay.
that you're working on other than
Once my
your
roof
roof?
is done, the first thing I'm going to have to do is actually aerate without the aerator because I still need parts for it and it's still not running up to par. So I'm going to get out my old school Viking looking tool to aerate the lawn. So
Okay. Do you have I have that yard butler thing? That's what I've been using. That you stand on. It's got the two little prongs.
So, no, mine, because my yard's fairly big. Like I know you have a good sized yard, but like mine is, I actually took a piece of hardwood, so it's 24 inches long, and I actually drilled and put nails into it, and it's attached to a snow shovel handle, so I can actually push that and it'll aerate my lawn. It tears a little bit more than just punching holes, but it actually does a great job. It's just a lot more work.
Huh. So spike aerating then rather than pulling cores is typically what you're doing with that?
Because it's going to be unfortunate that my aerator's not working yet, but this is a tried and true method, and I built the thing myself, so.
Nice. That's pretty slick. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Papa's got to donate some rain up into these parts.
You
it's
guys
not
are
normal.
all dry up there, right? Like none of you.
Yeah. The entire Midwest. So Wisconsin. I mean, I don't know how much this means to you, but Wisconsin down through Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan,
Jesus.
It's just dry.
And it's been raining here for a month and a half straight.
Yeah, there's never an in between, is there? There's never just a good, you get 1 inch rainfall a week.
That would be awesome. But yeah, that never happens.
Yeah. Saw a couple people. All right, growing with Greg, Mother's Day. Yep, I was out. We had family over today as well, so that was a good time being able to, use the yard rather than be working in it. So I like that. Lawn Journeys took it easy. Andy putting down flagship this past Monday, getting good results. Nice. The crabapple trees are so pretty in the spring. Everybody talks about the DC apple trees, but really I feel like those are just less exciting.
Flowers on them, don't they?
Crabapple trees.
Yeah, neighbors have.
Yeah, crabapple brings in some pink.
Yeah.
Sprayed in new PGR.
Go grab a beer. I'll be back
Nice.
for 1 sec.
All right, Clark, I'll be interested to see. I think Turf Therapy has done some videos on that anew and its impact on Poetriv, so I'll be interested if see what kind of results you have with that as well. Put down line analyst. I don't know if TGE. Oh, okay, it's typo for the. I got it. I'm a smart man. First round is Scott's Disease X on Saturday, and then got 1.7 inches of rain that night and Sunday morning. Well, that's perfect. I put down my disease preventative and grub preventative, and that didn't rain for a week, so that was less ideal. But that's perfect that you got that rainfall right away. My disease problem in my yard already is very bad.
What disease? What is it?
I don't even know. I think it's one of the leaf spot. Like a gray leaf spot or something like that, because it's one of those where you get the hourglasses across the grass blade and the lesions on the grass blade. I get that and rust.
What's the rust? Isn't that a micronutrient or macronutrient?
I think it's probably my water.
Like hard water?
Because Yeah, because out front it's just straight unfiltered well water. Whenever I water out there, and there's a ton of iron in it, and just a bunch of other minerals and nutrients and everything. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Maybe it's too much iron. I mean, it would make your lawn dark, but maybe it's just too much.
Yeah, because I've had it. My neighbor had it, who isn't on a well. They're on city water, and they had the same thing where like they had to reseed sections because it was just absolutely vaporized by like rust disease. Where it's literally like it'll turn your mower completely orange, basically, when you walk over it and cut. Oh, it's a good sound.
So yeah, I do have to deal with like soil compaction right now, especially like from walking. But like my front yard has never been done, or the side yard, which is like what I'm focusing on this year. So that is probably going to be hopefully next weekend, and I'll be going over it a lot. It's just going to look like I'm like tilling my yard essentially, but it'll be good for it.
Have you seeded? Because I know you usually spring overseed. Have you done that yet?
What was it, like a month ago? I put seed down, and obviously our temperature.
Have you had any success?
Actually, there's a decent amount of success. I'll show that in the video too. But there is, I mean, lots of germination. It's all ryegrass that's coming up, which is essentially what I put down. But like, you know how you said you had the mix on the side? Is essentially a similar mix that I have on the side yard. Only mine's a creeping fescue mixed with bluegrass and perennial rye.
Yeah, I think I have like a chewings fescue or something like that. Is
There's
what's
so many
in
different
there.
kinds of
Creeping red and
keep track
chewings.
of how many fescues there are. There's so many of them. Though.
Yeah, and I know I've said this before, but I did not realize that those like chewings fescues are actually a greens turf type. Yeah, I was watching. I think it was the match play that was going on in Texas. That course had like the greens were chewings fescue, which I did not know was a thing.
How low can you cut that stuff then? Like
I mean, I would imagine very, very low if they're having that was a World Golf Championship event. So
lower. That's awesome. Though.
Yeah.
Are you going to do anything like that with it, or are you going to let it grow longer?
No, I think, I don't know. I mean, the whole point of that project was to be able to cut it with the big mower, but with the fairway section, and it's starting to get more experience with cutting low and seeing it and enjoying it. Like part of me is considering making that section a shortcut turf area, but also that's more time short, and everything.
It's like hard not to cut short, like to leave like another section like longer. Like I know you have the bluegrass, which I know you keep fairly long, like what 2.5 inches, I think.
It's 2.5 now, and then I step it up to 3.5 in the summer.
Can tolerate the heat. Yeah.
Yep.
Without having to water.
Yes, exactly. With at least to minimize the water input needs. Let's see. Headway G and Anderson's duo side yesterday, fighting a bad fungus. Yeah, I have the same problem, Papamo's low. I mean, I just ever since we moved in here, I didn't even know lawn disease was a thing until I moved into this house, and then it's just been bad every year, and it starts immediately.
Maybe it's just you're noticing it more now that you're so focused on like the grass. You just notice things. So.
Yeah, and my grass isn't brown on its own. It's harder to notice disease when your yard is just brown to begin with.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't.
George, how's
Clark,
it going?
I'm. What's up, man? Happy evening. Happy Sunday. Let's see. So Clark is talking about using that anew on Poetriv. I wish I knew what my main problem grasses were. It's either like a barnyard grass that I have in some spots out front and over in the side yard, or I think I have some Kentucky 31 in the back that looks terrible, and I know there's nothing I can do with that. But I think my side yard and the previously existing areas of my front yard fight a lot of either like barnyard grass or poatriv. I'm so bad with identifying
tough.
grasses.
I think all grasses are problem grasses personally. They always need something. Like every time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's true. But at least the non-problem ones kind of look like each other.
True. I do know that like my putting green needs like a fertilizer, and it's well overdue for it. I just haven't had the time, and you can see that it needs it.
Yeah, I hit it heavy probably about a week ago because I always forget that it's half of 1,000 square feet that I'm treating and not 1,000 square feet. So I just like no thought loaded up a pound of a 2904, like thinking I'm spoon feeding, and then I was like, no, that was over a half pound of N. I didn't mean, I didn't want to do that.
It's not going to hurt it. It's bent grass. It'll actually love it.
Right, exactly.
And that's what I want to do. Like I want to hammer mine. Like going into the good growing season, like I want to hammer it and push that growth so it can fill in a lot of spots. And I will overseed it again, but I want it to like push itself. I just got to be mowing it and not let it get 3/8 of an inch to a half inch long.
Right. And that's what, so I'm hopeful with like pushing heavy nitrogen into it and having it under regulation that it'll start to scamper sideways pretty aggressively.
And it should. As far as like any research I've done, like that is what it's supposed to do. I don't get that product. I don't think so. I can't even test it.
Yeah,
my
which is
PGR
unfortunate.
Scalped the shit out of it, so it can't come back right away.
Are you able to, like, in season, are you typically getting out there daily and mowing?
Is my average for the putting green.
Okay. And you find that doesn't cause too many problems?
Even at 3/16 of an inch, it's fine every other day.
Okay. That's kind of what I've seen too. The only thing is I'm usually using it every day, and I'm going to apologize to everybody. My furnace just kicked on, so you're probably going to hear that. But with using it every day, if you leave it, it gets really slow really quick.
It doesn't slow. It slows down the pace. The only thing that I noticed though is like I don't know if you do like a outline pass of yours, like a perimeter pass, but like if you're constantly doing that perimeter pass, you're going to kill the grass on those like sharper corners. And mine's more of like a kitty shape, so I got
that's good to know.
Probably more sharp corners than what yours looks like. And it definitely struggles. Like the spots that I turn commonly, it struggles there. So that's why I do it every other day, just to like help maintain it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think with the dryness, I'm getting a taste of with the location where that green is, I might not be able to keep it at 1/8 of an inch. Because basically, I put the current hole location is kind of towards the bottom where the hill gets a little steeper. And basically, once a ball gets like 2 feet on the uphill side of the hole, it's just gone. It's just rolling off the front.
Augusta, just like I do.
Yeah, no, just half the green is false front. Let's see. Chat, Super TA put on some Grub-X in slow-mo. Actually, I've had some comments back and forth after that Promaxis video on Super TA talking about that. I think it's a bio-advanced product, like a PGR and a granular, which I'll be interested to see how that works, because that's a good kind of, I don't know how much it costs, but I'm assuming it's kind of a good entry into PGR for people to not have to have the ability to spray, an 1/8 of an ounce per 1,000 out onto the lawn.
Where's the lawn analyst located? Where are you located, lawn analyst? You got a frost advisory, so I'm thinking you're further north, just like me, because I got snow in the forecast.
I want to say maybe Minnesota, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Bandon Dunes uses a lot of fine fescues. Yeah, this is something new I learned, but it's apparently like a thing that happens all the time.
And George
need to start with fungicide right out of the gate. Yeah.
The Jacobson, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I was making my way there. I don't actually know. It's another week. I haven't heard anything from him. I'll probably call sometime this week or next, because I have every other Friday off, and this Friday I work, so I'm not really all that concerned if it's done this week, but I'll probably give a call just to see, because ideally it'd be done within the next week or two and be able to get that thing back and really start to get a sense of preference between the two and also be able to cut the fairway more frequently. Definitely. Central Illinois. Okay.
See, I think Illinois, I think that would just be like a warmer climate.
You would think. The thing is I'm well north of that, and I don't think I have any frost watches or warnings. Maybe I do, and I just don't pay attention to it. Haha, yeah, thanks, Papa Moslow. You had to turn your air conditioning on. Good for you. It's freaking freezing up here still.
I'm wearing a sweater in my basement.
Yeah. It's cold down here.
Dungeon.
That is like a Ron Henry style office video streaming setup at some point. Or George. I've actually been fortunate enough to see the setup in his basement there. I want something like that, but we got a mountain of projects that come before that happens. Grace Ortiz, what's up? All right, so one thing with you being on the show here and what you've done, I am newish to having a putting green. This is going to be my first full season with it, where it's actually like a real thing. What have you learned? Like, what have you found that just you needed? This works. It's easy, this didn't work. I tried this and it didn't work. What sort of lessons do you have for the backyard putting green folk?
Don't keep mowing perimeter passes like that one I was talking about earlier. It really does do damage. So that's why I do stick to an every other day schedule. And I don't walk onto the putting green like the same way. Like if I just like walk onto it to use it, I literally walk on a different way every single time, just to not like hurt it. And
have you noticed that being a problem before?
Usually, like I have like, if you ever see me on an Instagram stream and I'm sitting outside, I usually walk straight on, and you can actually see like my foot trail, kind of like it's a little bit brown and dead, just from going on and off the same part.
Interesting. That's good to know, because what I've found almost for me so far is it's been hardier than I thought it would be,
which is good. Like that's good if yours is. I just know I don't. But you're also on a native soil, right? Like I put mine on sand. Like I actually dug it out by hand and filled with an 80-20 mix. So like that, just sand it wears a little bit more from what I noticed. So if I was to do it again, I'd go with a 50-50 mix, and I would highly recommend that to anyone who wants to do a backyard putting green. At least a 50-50. Have soil in there. Have some, organic content to it.
Yeah, because you said you struggle with like fertilizing and stuff too, right? Where you pretty much have to be only liquid.
Even granulars, but like even with the granulars, I'll do that once every 4 weeks, and then in between that with liquid, with my Kool-Aid mix.
That's right, the Kool-Aids.
And it's constant because it just needs it, because it just washes out. If you've had a month of rain, if you put out a fertilizer, it washes away so quick. The nitrogen leaches out of soil quickly anyways. So you have to be like on top of it.
Okay.
And
all right. So that's interesting. So maybe in sand, it becomes a little bit more fragile.
A little bit more upkeep, I'd say. Like I do wish that I had more soil organic, and that's why I top dress it with peat moss right now, just to give it a little bit of like moisture retention. Because if the sun's out and it's like 30 degrees, which would be like 80 for you, 82, something like that. The sand burns up the grass because it gets so hot. And until it's like a full solid canopy, it can't shade itself. That's one.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
No, I was just saying that's the one thing I learned is definitely more soil than sand if you're starting out. Because I can't be on it every day. I have a full-time job, so I can't be out there every day just like doing something to it as much as I'd like to.
Right. That's the beauty of the last year or so for me is I'm here every day. So I can take, 5-10 minutes here and there and go out and do whatever needs to be done, set a sprinkler up, whatever. So that certainly helps. But okay. I have noticed too, I'm kind of getting a trench, like kind of lip almost around the perimeter from making that turn. Yeah, both from probably, the weight of the machine taking that same swipe
Yep.
all the time, rather, as opposed to every so often. So it kind of sinks in and
Yep.
gives a little like lip. It's not bad, but that's definitely there. I haven't had it start to damage it yet, but I could definitely see to kind of slow down that. Don't make that same perimeter pass.
On the upside, it might stop your ball from rolling off.
Yeah, there is that. Okay, so that's good to know, because I do have a longer term plan of moving the practice facility up to where all the rock is on my property. And that's flatter. And I have to dig all that rock out, so I'm going to have to fill it back in. And I was thinking about going like a more true like green, what's it, root zone mix. There's the words. More like root zone mix for that. But maybe not the idea.
I don't know. The one thing that they say too is like bent grass is like a shallow root. Like it has a shallow root system. When I pick a plug out to like move my pin, which is give or take 8 inches deep, there's roots hanging at the bottom of it. So I don't know. Maybe there's a scientific thing behind it that I don't know of, but that seems pretty deep rooted to me.
Yeah, I wonder if that's along the same lines of if you shortcut your turf, the roots don't grow as deep, which is also BS.
I don't know. I don't know where these like things are coming from. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people put too much scientific effort into things that really don't need it.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And I think we've started to see a lot of that type of content here on YouTube lately. Is like the, kind of just relax a little bit. I know, what is it, Travis or Trevor? Travis. Budget Lawns. Did like the 5 rules that he doesn't follow. And to kind of like, and I talked about like, you don't have to water 1.5 inches every week in order for your turf to be healthy, and all those things, where I wonder how much of it is kind of a breakdown in communication of people like us trying to make videos that are helpful for people. These are the best practice recommendations that you should do. And if you do them, you're giving yourself your highest % chance of success, and conflating that with, you must do these things or you won't have success.
Yeah, because like your video on the watering, I fully agree with. Like, you do not need to water. Like, if you see stress, like when you walk on it and your footprints, like they don't bounce back, maybe throw some water down. But other than that, you really don't need to. I did a video, it was last summer, and I actually featured George in it. He gave permission to use like clips out of his video, but he was saying how you can't put down, like, don't put so much nitrogen down in the middle of summer, like you're going to burn your lawn. So I, of course, did a Backwoods thing. I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be right. So I put down, I think it was a 2402, and it did fine. Now, mind you, I didn't throw it, like I knew it was going to rain and be overcast for a couple days. So I threw it down then, and I did water it in, and it did fine. The grass actually boomed, and it didn't burn.
Yeah, and I think it's especially with liquids, it's making sure if you do any sort of heavy application that you're getting it watered in.
I didn't use a liquid.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe that's a difference too. I think maybe some of the issues with the liquids is if you let that sit on the leaf blade, then it can kind of torch it.
I think that was minimal amount, but I use my Kool-Aid mix, and that's about it. So if I need to put a higher NP or K, I can actually adjust the mix of those same nutrients and spray it to whatever I need it to do. Like you can use it for seedlings, so you can make it a starter fertilizer. You can make it a full feed of nitrogen, whatever you want to do. The only thing, it does have iron. It has all your microbes because it's a hydroponic nutrient solution, right? It has everything you need for a plant to grow out of water. And it allows you to adjust your levels, with whatever you want to do, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty slick. Let's see. I don't know if I've said hi to Grace yet, but Grace, hi.
Hello,
welcome.
Grace.
Thank you for stopping by. Papa Mo's Low picked up that Pro Maxis today after watching the video. So hopefully that works out for you. For me, it's awesome to have that product because I haven't ventured into PGRs because although a better deal per ounce, the barrier to entry is so dang high. Like to invest $170 in something, like, yeah, great. That's probably like 6 years worth of PGR and spread across all that time. And per ounce, it's not that bad. But like to swallow something that is essentially what I'm going to be experimenting with and swallow $150, $170 investment is not much. So the fact that a company finally came out with a little tiny bottle of that stuff, that's actually, somewhat affordable for like $35. Bigly excited.
Clark just asked, I don't know if he was asking me or not. He said, do you sift the peat moss first or use a Landsy? What's a Landsy?
As those big green drums that a bunch of people have done videos on.
I actually built one, a peat moss spreader. So same thing. It's a drum, and that's what I use. So that's as far as my sifting goes. It's a 1/4 inch mesh size is what I use.
Do you just like make a metal frame and wrap a 1/4 inch mesh around it, or what?
So I used a router to cut like a perfect circle, not a jigsaw because you can get like flat spots. So I used a router, and just that with a couple spindles in it to hold the frame together, then mesh, and then just a simple handle on it.
Huh. So basically 2 plywood donuts, and then you just fasten the mesh to the
pretty much
plywood
with a couple
donut?
2x2s in between for like the spacing. I think mine is 36 inches wide, so I can cover my green pretty quick.
Okay. Nice.
That's the only reason I built it, is for the putting green. I don't use it on my main yard. I just use it on a putting green, and that's it. It gets all precious, though.
I'm gonna guess that was significantly cheaper than a Landsy as well.
All I paid for was the mesh, so it was like $15.
Yeah, as opposed to like $200 or whatever those things cost.
If I can save $1 anywhere, I'm gonna do it, because Lawncare. I mean, you can keep it cheap, and I like your $100 program. I think that's awesome, but I think it gets expensive as soon as somebody gets really into their lawn. It's gonna be more than $100 because you're.
Yeah, I spend a lot more than $25 per thousand on my other parts of my yard.
I do like how you can show that you can have a nice yard for the $100. Like, that's a very good way. I like those videos.
Yeah,
because I wish that I could keep it at $100, but I'm like, nope.
Yeah, Canada doesn't allow you to do that, do they? High today was 48. That's really interesting in central Illinois how much colder it is than it is up here by me. Because our high was supposed to be like 51 today, but it ended up being 55, 56. It was actually a really nice day to be outside with the family.
Quite a bit of clay. I want to start leveling. I'm thinking around a 50-50 sand topsoil. I don't see it.
You want to take that one?
I don't see an issue with that. I think anytime you can put any kind of organic material into your yard is always beneficial. It's not necessarily the best for like leveling long term because it does break down, but I think it's always good for the plant itself. And if you have the 50% sand in there, then it might take more applications over years. Like, it's not like the one season does it. Like, you're talking 5-10 years that you're actually going to start getting it. But I think anytime you can get organic soil in there, do it. Every time.
Yeah, I think I would say, so I've done 2 strictly topsoil top dresses where I ordered like finely sifted topsoil from a local provider. And that was the backyard I did with that. And then the side yard just this last weekend. And I would recommend doing that if you're filling in big holes. Like for me, I'm trying to bring sections up probably 4, 5, 6, 7 inches in some spots. And I think in those types of instances, I would go like only topsoil just because, or a mix if you want to do that for like drainage or whatever. In terms of the clay, anything's going to grow on that clay. Like, you just keep taking care of it and the grass will take care of it for you. So I wouldn't worry about that so much. I think it's going to depend on what your goal is. And I did a video on like last fall on like, should you top dress your yard? And kind of talked about it from an angle of like, what's your goal? Because if you want to cut at, even 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch, I haven't top dressed the fairway at all. I mowed it the other day at 4/10 of an inch, and it did kind of just fine. Front roller, back roller on the Toro, and it turned out really good. It didn't scalp that bad, and that is not even close to level. So to get down to 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, if you want to do something like that, you don't need a flawlessly top dressed yard. If you want to go lower than that, though, you definitely are going to need to eventually at some point probably transition to only sand, because that's the only option you have to like keep it perfectly glass smooth.
And the one thing that I see a lot of videos on is like, like level your lawn. If any of those guys can come up to my yard and level it, and they want to pay for the material, then please come to my house and you can level this lawn. But I do want like a golf course, so I want the oscillation in it. You know what I mean? Like if you hit a ball in the fairway, like it's going to hit a seam and like roll down, and that's what I want. Like I don't want like a flat level yard.
Yeah, and it's probably a breakdown in terms of what's easier to communicate, because I don't think anybody searches for smooth your yard.
Shouldn't that be
because
the
really
actual terminology that you use is smooth your yard? Because level and smooth are completely different things.
Well, you're a contractor. All of us normal humans, don't care that much about the whether or not like level means like actually like level or plumb. Maybe on this particular topic.
When you say like level, like when I hear level, I'm like, okay, level, that's flat, like, and that's just not possible for. I think even Ryan Nor's lawn is not level. Like it slopes from his house down to his sidewalk. Right. So why doesn't he just say I'm smoothing my lawn? Yeah, because nobody searches for smooth your yard. I don't know. Maybe I should do a video on smooth your yard. Maybe that'll get like millions of hits. Who knows? It's like I've never seen this.
It might. Yeah, very true. Fresh. George always talks about the fresh content. Get something out there that nobody's done yet.
It's true. Yeah, but George also figured out the algorithm. I don't know what he did, but
he caught the specialist kind of lightning here lately, which good for him. That's awesome.
Last time I checked, he was pushing 10,000 subscribers. I don't know if he has.
He's north of 10.
So that was like a week ago that I saw it. So yeah,
and I do have to say, and again, continue to profusely thank him, because I have bigly benefited from that as well.
But
let's see. There was something I want to smooth the yard.
I started at the same time, and the first video I saw of his was literally him vacuuming his front lawn. Like it was just like a joke thing, but like I saw it and I laughed and I was hooked. I'm like, this guy has a good sense of humor. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's all like everything is. That's one thing I've tried to pick up from him is everything he does is intentional. Like the title's intentional, the thumbnail's intentional, the structure of the video is intentional to keep people watching it. Like every step of the way is intentional to get people to watch. And it's something I've tried to start to incorporate. I still don't know if I care enough to put that kind of time and effort into planning and thinking through, but it's definitely like if it's going to work if you do it.
That's the way George is as a person in general. Like I think everything needs to be meticulous. I don't want to say OCD because that's not like, that doesn't fit his character. It just seems like things got its spot and that's about it.
Let's see. Craig wants to put a putting green in, so that was kind of the foundation of his question. So, Craig, if you're still here, you got two guys that have done it. So, what other questions do you have for us?
Yeah, if you want to install it, I mean, you can do it Jason's way, which he just cut down existing and he's top dressing with sand, or you can do it the way that I did it, which is a backbreaker. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess, but I actually dug out my ground 10 inches. I dug out all the existing stuff and then brought in an 80-20 mix, all with a spoon and a wheelbarrow. So that's the way that I went about it. But I also got to shape my putting green how I wanted it to roll in spots. So it wasn't like the existing ground. I actually got to shape the humps, the gullies, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Remind me again how big your green is?
44 feet long by 18 to 20 feet wide in spots because of the kidney shape.
Yep. So it's a shade under 1,000 square feet?
Just over 1,000.
Is that how that math works?
Just over.
Okay. Yeah, mine's like 450
Yeah,
square
so
feet or something like
yours
that.
is like less than half of mine. So when you said like in your
Yeah.
video about like putting greens, like always build it bigger than because you'll get bored of the size. When I built mine, actually, is that I think 2 years later, I went and dug out. I doubled the size of it because I was like, no, it's just too small. Like I want to be able to make like a without the pin being on the edge, a good 20, 30 foot putt and still be able to miss by 10 feet, which is
Yeah, my next destination is the better part of like 2,000 square feet or so. So where it's going to move to, it can be anywhere from like 1,000 to 2,000, which that I'm looking forward to. That's going to really be fun.
Because that's like twice the size of mine. Because I know that I have one of the bigger putting greens on YouTube from what I've seen, except for Aussie Lawn. I think his is a lot bigger than mine.
Yeah, he's got like a
yeah, it's like
actual
3,000
green.
square feet or something like that, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if he's ever actually said.
I don't think
I think I've watched every single one of his videos, and I don't know if he's ever said how big it actually is.
Like you can tell by like when he's just walking it with the mower. I'm like, that's big green.
Yep. Yeah, he's not mowing that in the 2 minutes that I can cut mine. Did you install any type? Papa Mo's Low asked, did you install any type of drainage?
Because beneath mine, just because the native soil, if you dig down anywhere from 10 to 12 inches, you hit sand. Like you just hit straight up sand. So you get a whole bunch of material like leaf rot and stuff like that because I live in the woods, the backwoods. So once you dig up past that, then it's just sand. So I didn't actually have to do any additional drainage because the sand pretty well does it.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't know if I'm going to need to do. Both my current green is on the side of a hill. Obviously, that's because that's why the ball's rolling off. And the other section is going to be up on top of the hill. So I'm assuming I'll be able to get away without really drainage in both of those
you're on like
spots.
the side of the slope anyways, the water is going to drain to the lowest point. So if anything, worst case, if you notice the lower end getting a little bit soggy or something like that and moss growing maybe, then you might just need to put a little, I think it's called a French drain around there. Like, not saying you need to, but if that happens, then I have an issue. I do have a little bit of moss actually growing on my putting green right now. Yeah, it gets shade in the morning for like an extended period of time. So it's not a huge patch, but there's like moss patches. So I'm gonna have to zap them with some moss killer, which I will put into a video.
Okay. That's something I haven't had to deal with a whole lot of. Is that copper?
What? Oh,
for moss?
Moss killer? Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
But there's also not ammonium, ferrous sulfate, which is iron, actually helps kill moss too.
Okay.
So when I like put an iron application down, you can blatantly see that it just like browns out the moss and then it's just dead.
Yeah. Matt Dawson did a moss killing video a couple days ago, I think, with just like basically an iron application.
I see this.
How do you?
No, you're going to read the same question that I'm just reading.
How do you prevent the bent from the green creeping into other desirable grass? I'll let you go ahead.
Like, I mean, you could if you were. I mean, but then you're losing the aspect of a putting green, in my opinion. But like, you could edge it so it can't, and always keep like a nice fine edge so it can't keep creeping. But eventually, that bent grass is going to find a way. Like,
it's like the North's Bermuda.
Yeah, it'll find its way no matter what you do.
So probably your biggest defenses are having the rest of your yard be really healthy and really thick to not give it space to enter.
That's a good point.
That's going to be one thing. Quinclorac will kill bent. I know that largely because I use Spectricide's weed controls, which the orange cap, which is the one I typically use, has quinclorac in it because I'm trying to just cast as wide of a net as possible. So it's 2,4-D dicamba and quinclorac, and then the yellow cap, and that's labeled that it's not labeled for bent, and then the yellow cap, which doesn't have that quinclorac, is labeled for bent. So I'm going to make an assumption that quinclorac is going to damage or kill bent grass. I believe Fusillade is also labeled to kill bent grass. So you do have some selective options that you can use to try to keep it at bay. But I think you're probably fighting a similar battle to people in the South fighting Bermuda, where like you can really only just kind of hurt it and slow it. You're not gonna get rid of it. So it's kind of a risk you're taking. It's something you're just accepting, and it's a big risk because bent grass maintained at summer mow heights is gonna lay over on itself and suicide and look terrible.
Carpet. But the one thing like you guys can get in the United States is stuff that I can't get in Canada. But the one benefit that I use to my advantage is I haven't cut enough fringe yet. So I'm gonna cut in a fringe and I'm gonna let the bent like just slowly creep. I'm not gonna push it or anything, but I'll let it creep into like the fringe area, which gives me an extra 24 inches or so before it creeps into like the main yard.
Yep. I would highly recommend. I'm surprised you don't have a fringe, but I guess you didn't have the machinery to cut it.
I don't want to adjust the heights. I'm not doing it. That's what you don't like watering. I don't like adjusting the heights of the mower. I'd rather just buy another one.
Yeah, it's finicky, and it's a lot of turns to go from 0.4 of an inch to 0.15.
It really is. What?
It's a lot of spins on that. You're just sitting there just cranking.
And then you got to go underneath it, and, like you're constantly checking like all the sides of like whatever it is. So I just don't want to deal with that. Like that you can see the John Deere in the background. That thing stays at one height. That's it. 3/16 of an inch. Maybe an eighth later in the fall.
Which again, for those of you who are joining us now and didn't get the intro, this is Ryan from Backwoods Lawncare. You can check out his YouTube channel. That picture in the background is his putting green in his backyard.
There. So you can actually see the kitty shape. And you know what? This picture is actually from the original size. It's actually been made bigger. So that far side, like that there, is actually much wider now.
Okay.
It's
okay.
About,
nice.
I think I went 3 feet wider and then 5 feet longer.
All right. Yeah, I could, because I actually have a ton of bent. Like my backyard has a ton of bent grass that I haven't cut short yet. So I could make it quite a bit bigger. I just don't know if I want to.
Yeah, you do. I know you like golf, so I also that's why I'm putting in a fairway, just for the fact that I want to be able to like chip off of actual grass and leave a divot and shake on some sand with some seed in there.
Yep. Yeah, that's the big thing for me. Like, it's been so cool to have the shortcut area down low and like hit probably 15-20 yard pitch shots up to the hole. And I have started to notice myself, like, especially with being on video, I can see things that I'm doing, and I've actually been able to kind of start to improve both putting stroke and
Absolutely.
chipping.
Actually, you know what? It sounds weird, but I have like a net to hit your driver into and stuff like that. And I'll sometimes film myself just to like see like why would I slice it, and I can actually like see what I'm doing, like, which is, I don't know, not everyone's gonna film themselves just hitting shots, but I do it just because I want to improve.
Yeah, for sure. Intentional
exactly.
practice.
I mean, you don't build a practice facility without trying to get better.
Right. Craig, so going to just try to level my existing lawn, even if it takes a few years before beginning to mow shorter. So I was able to go from existing natural ground to what is now the same surface that I haven't top dressed since my last top dress last year. And now with a greens mower on it, helping kind of roll it out every time I mow, I'm at 5/32 of an inch without scalping. And I did that from July 1st until September. So in that short amount of time, I was able to get the ground to a place where I can now cut at true greens height, and it'll work.
Yeah, and to elaborate,
a lot of work.
Go ahead. Over like years. I mean, if you really want to cut short, you can just completely smother the lawn and just go for it, and then whatever sticks out, let it grow and overseed. If you don't want to wait like 5 years of over, I mean, that's a backbreaker. For every year, you don't look forward to it as much. But do it all in one shot, you'll probably be happier. in my opinion.
Yeah. Basically, what I did is I did like as light as I could get away with. So I just put enough sand to cover the whole surface. I just had a landscape rake at the time, so just a 36-inch regular landscape rake. Leveled it out, watered it, hammered it with nitrogen. Once it grew back through, and it was starting to fill in again, top dressed it again. Light little layer, get it all raked in, broomed in, water it, hammer it with nitrogen. Once it grew back up, light little top dress. So I did that 4 times last year.
I think that's one of the reasons, like when I was starting to look, I mean, it was like 5 or 6 years ago now that I actually built the putting green. I started looking into it and I was like, I don't want to like top dress it just to like get it to like where I want it for smoothness. I'm like, I'm just going to do it from scratch. And that's what I'm just going to dig it out.
Yeah.
I'm going to form it the way I want the slopes to go. I have one straight putt. If you hit it just right, that you can get it like that 44 feet straight across essentially. And if you go off by like a foot, it'll literally just dive off to both sides.
So is your green kind of mounded? Like is it crowned?
There's a crown in one spot, and then it's kind of like, I don't know how to like explain it. So there's like a flat spot on the top left that slightly slopes to the right. Not as much as yours does, like it, but it'll roll because it's cut so short. But there is one spot, I call it my mini Augusta, because if you hit it there, you think you're on the green, and it'll just plant and then just roll back. But I do that so I can like hustle my buddies for like beers.
Yeah. No, yeah, just hit it there. No, you're on the green. That's fine. That's a fine spot. Hit it right there.
Like, what the?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's never done that before.
They catch on.
I'm sorry.
Like, the third hole though, when I like chip it to like the back spot, so it's flat, and I'm like slightly like I'm just putting flat. Like what the?
Yeah. Yeah, like you live here. There's no chance you didn't know this.
Yeah,
you asshole.
I get that a lot when I'm playing.
Jason, how have you been enjoying the Greens Master? I love it. I'm really interested to get the Jacobsen back because I really want to see a operable Jacobsen compared to that's maybe 15 years old, decade old, somewhere around there, compared to the 31-year-old Greensmaster. But the thing runs flawlessly. The 11 blade cuts extremely smooth, and it's not even it's probably starting to near needing a grind, but it still cuts really well. It's not causing any problems, and it works, and it's smooth. I do think I will prefer the Jacobsen engagement mechanism because it's all in the hands. The only thing that's kind of annoying is there's like a safety lock that's like underneath the handle that you kind of have to reach over, undo, and then you can grab the handle. But the like engagement with the lever on the Greensmaster is kind of clunky.
So you can't like
I don't love that.
It's just kind of like you hit it and you're like just like instantly moving.
Yeah, actually, the first couple times I used it at George's house, I had it like pretty low throttle because this isn't mine yet, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I just assumed it was like a switch, like you just go bing, and it's on. And it is not that. So I just like 2 or 3 times in a row just killed the mower. Yeah. So I just like went. Ew.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Start it up again. But yeah. So you kind of have to like walk that handle through the bite point of the clutch that's in there. And I'm getting pretty comfortable with it now. I'm pretty used to it now where I can do it and it's not an issue. But I don't love that.
Yeah.
How it operates.
I think.
Do you only have experience with the JD?
That's the only I bought that thing. I actually bought it as I was building the green because I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to build a green. I need to be able to cut it low. So that's when I started looking, and I was lucky enough to find a John Deere because, I don't know, I've always liked John Deere just for like their tractors, their farm equipment in general, you know, backwoods, right? I'm so used to like that country style. I was like, yeah, it's got to be John Deere. And I actually found one for $800.
I feel like they're prettier.
Maybe, I don't know, I think to an extent they have a certain look to them, like a nostalgic to them. I don't know.
Yeah, like the way the handle kind of all flows together up through everything, and the like stalk of the whatever gets you up to the handle. I feel like that all
Yeah,
just looks better than Toro, and just green's a
I
better
agree.
color than red.
I do agree. That's why I like my Jacobson. I'm gonna
Hence,
paint it, and I've decided on the colors. One of my subscribers left a message on it, and it kind of like I actually sat on it for about a week. Like I responded to him instantly, but I sat there. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. So I respond to him like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do because it's kind of like my colors anyways. Like my logo color, it's got like a bright green in it. So I'm gonna go like a lime green,
mhm.
acid green with black. Is how I'm gonna.
Okay, a little darker than the Lawn
Yeah,
Tools lime
probably.
green
Yeah, well,
or neon green, I
maybe
guess.
neon. I don't know. I'll find one that I think looks good. I think acid green is kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Okay, yeah, that would be slick. I'm trying to think. I want one that's like a not quite basically, you know, the color I use in the
Yeah.
text and all my thumbnails. I want to paint
Like
the
a
Gravely
blue?
that color. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love that color. But that's so much work,
Well,
and that's
that's
just
the
not
thing
gonna
is like for
happen.
me to properly. I mean, I could just like tape stuff off and like paint it, but it's me. I can't just do that. I'll hate myself. So, yeah, that's what
I'll
it is.
know.
I'll know. So I'll have to strip it apart completely and then just repaint it and rebuild it again. But that's fine because I'll just learn more about the machine as I strip it apart. Like you were saying, like you didn't
Yeah.
know if it was like a bearing or clutch. Like I'll actually just like tear it apart. So I'm like, all right, so that's that. If I hear something going, I can get to it.
Yep. Yeah, that was the thing for me with how complex the Jacobson became very quickly. Is like, what if I can't get it back together? It at least
Yeah.
works right now.
And you know what? That's a legitimate fear because that was actually one of the first things I know. Was your like clutch like to engage the reel on like the lower left hand corner, like right on the outside? Yeah. See, that's
Yes.
a weird spot because like on the John Deere, it's like where is it? It's like right up top, so it's easy to get to. Like so you can take a whole bunch of shit apart essentially and not mess with stuff like that. But the Jacobson's like, nope, you're going through the tough
Yeah,
spot
and-
first, walking through lava before you even get to it.
Yeah, and that was the issue because again, the Greensmaster is the same thing where it's that little lever inside the cutting, inside of the like tower, the two
Yeah.
towers on the sides. But Jacobson, the like engage clutch is mounted basically on the end of the reel.
Which, like, I've only looked at mine for like maybe like 10 minutes since I bought it, just because I haven't had time. But I noticed that right off the bat. I'm like, that's a weird spot for that. Like, why is it there? And then my only guess is because they want you to take the machine in to have somebody service it. Is the only
Right, and that's I think when Brett talked about the like various reels is like Jacobson is a fine piece of machinery and it's going to cut extremely well and it's going to work really well, but the things are just like really
they're not made
complex.
for someone to work on. But they're not beating the backwoods.
So.
I'll get that thing apart. I'll make it.
So you've done so maybe this is a good transition into your kind of aerator project, and are you still just in the holding pattern and
I'm
waiting on parts?
So okay, so as a little bit of some detail to it, I did strip the engine right apart. So it needed a new coil. There's a new starter in it. There's a new gas tank on it. There's a new carburetor on it. There's a new air filter on it. There's a new chain on it. There's new tines on it. New battery on it. And now that I got it going, I had the timing off. So you can put the chain on just fine and things will spin. But if you don't put the chain on when the actual like arm is like set in the right spot, it causes, and this is what happened, it started like digging. Remember how you commented? Like, is that supposed to move like up and down? Do you remember you saying that to me? I was like, no, it should be fine because like it didn't seem too drastic until I really looked at it, and it was actually like clawing forward while the other side was just going up and down. So I have to take the chain off again, make sure that that is set in the exact spot before I reattach the chain. So it'll actually go up and down with the full rotation of the chain. It sounds kind of complex, and it kind of is because of the timing. But yeah, it's just gonna be one of those things. I'll probably put the chain on like 2 or 3 times before I find that like sweet spot of where it's supposed to actually go. And not.
Yeah. So is it like a timing belt on a car almost?
Kind of.
Where it needs to be in the right place
much,
or nothing
pretty
works?
Much. I mean, it works. It just doesn't work the way you want it to. So like I did dig
Right.
like a 6-inch wide trench all the way across my yard, testing it out, and it's just dirt. Now the chipmunks use it as a runway now. They're just like, sweet, safe spot. But
you can say you tilled it.
that's
You
what it
intentionally
looks like.
tilled
It's
it.
funny because you look on the other side and it's just perfect, like aerated holes. I was like, I actually debated. I'm like, just to aerate my lawn, I was going to just take the chain off and just use the one side to get my lawn aerated, which would work fine. But I'm like, no, like then I have to like go over it like 4 more times than I need to. So I'll just wait. I'll use my old Viking tool for now. Patience is a virtue with lawns, right? You got to, even the equipment, you got to be patient.
Exactly. And is that type of work stuff that you've just taught yourself?
It's just from a young age, really. It's just my mindset is you don't know what's wrong until you tear it apart. So it started with like a rotary mower. I just didn't know, like it was my dad's, and it just wouldn't run. He was like, oh, it's a spark plug, and he was like, no, that's not it. So he was just gonna throw it. I'm like, well, can I have it? I think I was like 12. He was like, yeah, whatever. So I actually took it apart and just started like taking the carburetor apart and stuff like that. I started cleaning everything out with carb cleaner. Like he would go to Canadian Tire, buy me some carb cleaner. He's like, what do you need that for? You're 12. Like, just, I don't know, just get it for me. And this was like before YouTube essentially, right? So I couldn't just look it up. So
yeah, that's impressive.
Started taking stuff apart and then just taught myself. And then once you do one thing, then that's easy. Then you start taking apart other stuff. And
that's what I've found too, and kind of why I asked, because I know I talked to you about the Gravely and the valve adjustment, as I've tried to just continue to like take that next step in trying stuff, and I've done a couple like helpless man does things type videos where I had the furnace flame sensor issue that I fixed, and I made a video on that. And I did like the hydraulic fluid and all the other fluid changes on the Gravely and the Honda, and changing all that, like not to try to do those videos not from a how-to place, but like what if you're completely helpless and stupid and have never done anything like this before? Like, can you watch a YouTube video and do this successfully? So like be the confidence inspiring video. Like, I have no business doing this, and yet I was able to figure it out and do it without too much effort. So I wanted to do that with putting the valve back together. But I was outside with my kids, and I just did it, and then got to the end and realized I forgot my camera and didn't film it. But
still, it's a huge confidence booster, just like diving into an engine. Like, I mean, that aerator is 33 years old. Getting parts isn't easy. And I've never seen one before. Like, I've never actually seen like the components. But I did not hesitate. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Start stripping the engine apart. Like, just pieces all over the place, like bolts and like. And then who was it? I think it was the Perfect Cut. Perfect one. Wow, what's his name? The Perfect Cut, I think. Is he the one with the Swordman?
I don't know. I don't recognize that name. So you can say whatever you wanted to say, and I'll just agree.
With the Swordman, and he actually fixed it himself. Like, he sent him the parts because it was under warranty, but he fixed it himself.
Okay.
And I was like, hats off to you, because that's the best way to learn your machine. Is just diving in. And I agree with you. Like, you don't want to take the jigs apart because you need the mower to work. Like, you need it. It's working, so why would you take it apart? But for me,
yeah, and that was why I was kicking myself at first with the Gravely, because when I did the valve adjustment, then it stopped working immediately. Yeah, like, oh no, I've finally done it. I've finally reached the limits of my ability, but it turns out I just reached the limits of a stripped screw's ability to
exactly
tighten.
And hopefully the next time you like go into whatever machine you're working on, you'll have more confidence just to like take that extra piece off. Like there's a little nut in there and you're like, oh, if I take this off, I'm going to lose, I'll never be able to get it back in. But if you take that one little nut off, suddenly the world is your oyster, because that's usually how mechanics or like companies put their machines together is, like you got to get through the arc and then suddenly everything's easy after that.
Yeah, and again, shout out to YouTube in general, because you watch enough of these like small engine channels and you watch what they're doing, and it's like that's not complicated. they're basically just putting Lego back together.
That was the one thing that I think it was the perfect. I can't remember his name, and I apologize if he was. Well, I think he was in here, but he's like, how do you remember? Because he knows I'm good at stuff. He's like, how do you remember like what goes where? I'm like, you know what? If it's a complicated like structure, if you got a whole bunch of nuts and bolts for one little part, like a carburetor, if you take it right apart, take video of it, take pictures of it. Like I can't remember where every bolt goes. Like there has been times I'll like get something back together and I'll be like, where does this go? It's like an extra part, but it's got to go somewhere. So you'll take video. Don't be afraid to like do that.
Did you watch B. Davis's longtime coming live stream of putting his Greensmaster back together, the reel back together? That was hilarious, because he seems to be an as helpless human being as me, and he live streamed putting the like reel assembly back together. And I know Grace was in there just like having a heart attack, because I think she said she does that for like a living. But yeah, like even he like got it all back together. He like got to a part, he was like, I don't remember where this goes.
It happens. It really does happen. Like.
But yeah, I feel like that type of content is super helpful to people, because like to people like me and my parents, kind of, it's where I picked that up from, is like there's this fear that you're gonna break something and it's never gonna work again, and that's not really how this works.
Lucky for me, like with my dad, by the way, I did get that lawnmower fixed that my dad was gonna throw out. Like, give me some carb cleaner, and he's like, all right, we'll have at it. Like I'm buying a new one anyways, so I got it fixed, and that's how I learned. It's like, you can always fix it. It's a machine. If you make a mistake, if you fuck something up, it can be fixed. You can always go back and fix your mistake. Machines are actually very forgiving for stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I've always had this fear that like once I touch something, like it's just gonna basically explode. Like just parts are gonna come just meleeing off of this thing and kill me and my family.
Yeah, we pull the starter cord and there's flames coming out the exhaust. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. Just bolts and pins and stuff just firing across the yard.
I know it is a big fear for like people. Sorry, Papa Mose. All this talk wants me to add a putting green. I may just mow part lower and stick in a flag. You know what, Papa Mose? Go for it. Just cut a part low. I guarantee you'll get hooked and you'll probably start top dressing even if you don't want to.
Yeah, ask me how I know literally what he just said will happen. Because that is exactly
like
what I did.
Ever, to be honest. Like you cut it low and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do it for fun, a little chipping area. And then you're like, wait a minute, I have something here.
Especially the first couple times that my son and I were out.
That's Rooster on Lynx. That's my custom flag, number 13. My lucky number.
Where'd you get that done, by the way?
My wife could tell you, because she got it for me for, I think it was Father's Day, like 2 years ago. But it is a site that you can get, like, the flag, a custom flag with the pin, the cup, like the whole 9 yards. And I think it was like $110 or something like that. So I'm gonna order another one with Backwoods Lawncare on the flag with probably number 18 on it.
That's awesome. That's the one thing that I do eventually want to do, but it was already a very large investment in putting green equipment that I was making, and I didn't want to add the.
I didn't have a pin until like 3 years in.
Because I
would just putt to like a tee that I'd stick in the ground.
Yep. Yeah, I did the same thing. Yes, thank you. Because I was saying the first time that I was cutting with the great states at a 1/2 inch, and I just put I think I put 5 tees out, one in the middle and then one in each corner. And my son and I were out there for like an hour hitting putts and like hitting chips to it, and just like closest to, and who could hit it in the fewest shots or whatever. And I started to try to like handicap it, and like once that started to work at that height, I was like, oh, we gotta do this.
More.
Yeah. I need to find a new mower. I need to find a place to get sand.
Then the snowball effect. It is true.
Yeah.
So
and now I have 4 real mowers.
Exactly. So Papa, I'd say go for it. Like cut it as low as you can with a rotary if you need to. But I guarantee you, once you reach that threshold, you'll be buying a real mower. Even if
especially if you're a golfer. Like if you really do enjoy golf, like just being able to go back out, it's so cool to walk off the back of my deck with a putter and a couple golf balls.
It is. You know what? It's a video that I haven't made yet, but I took the opening shot for it like a year and a half ago, and I'll say it's spoiler alert, but it was like literally, so you see me in the back, so I have my camera set up maybe a foot or two behind the cup, and you see me in the distance just take a little pitch shot, and all you hear is like the click of the ball being hit. You don't see it in the air, and then suddenly it just hits the green and rolls like right by the hole. It doesn't go in, but it goes right by, and it stays just in the shot of like the camera, the ball just sitting there. And that's like my opening scene that I'm going to do for like more of I guess a golf video of why I do the work on a putting green. Don't go stealing my idea, Jason. I know that I'm going to see that shot.
Yeah. No, and I've had some, I plan to do some stuff around just like, I've already done the like how to manage it and, different ways you can go about doing it yourself. And then, kind of what it actually means to have it back there.
Especially you as like a person who loves the game of golf, which I do as well. So it's...
Yep.
You're right. There's no topping that feeling of being able to step out your back door with a bucket of balls and just like chip shot after shot for hours on end if you want to. And it makes it...
Yeah. And I have about 70 yards from the road to where the green is. It just requires the bravery of hitting it over my house.
Yes, yeah. If I hit it over my house, then I don't want to do the shingles again, Jason.
I do. I guess I should clarify. It's not over my house. There's like 10 feet between my garage and my house, and you can see the green through there.
Fairway.
So if I stay, yeah, and I mean it's a 1-story house, so it's not hard to hit it over. But I did go to that spot last year and try to hit a ball, and I panicked and quit on it at the top and just like chunked it off to the right a little bit. Like I thought I was brave, but I was not brave.
I did one shot, and it's kind of like hooking it around my house. So more or less I was like just missing the corner of my house. But what I actually did was scald the ball, and it just went like into my like way over the green.
Okay. I didn't know if you were saying you bladed it into your house, because that's a bad day.
I almost hit the neighbor's house, which is true. So
that's the other thing too, because hitting it out a pretty thick rough, not too far left is neighbor's house, and long is neighbor's house. So like, even more scary than hitting my own house is hitting one of my neighbor's houses.
I just want to Papa Mo's YouTube how-to channels are dangerous. He convinced me I could install an in-ground pool. I did it, but it about killed me. I did it by myself. Did you dig it up by yourself, or did you actually get machinery?
Like a rented excavator, and then...
Just picture, what's that movie? Encino Man? I just picture like two guys...
Yeah. Just digging a hole.
Do you remember that movie, Encino Man?
No, but I think I understand the reference
for sure. And then he says he has a remote. He's got a sword.
But
just do a putting green. Just cut it short.
Yep.
You know what? Why I would like a swordman is the simple height adjustment on it. Because I've seen Ryan Dorr, like he did a pretty in-depth one on how easy it is to go up and down with
Yeah, it's like you undo a bolt, and then it's
lever.
just like the
Yeah.
lever. You just move.
which I think would be awesome. Like that's one thing that I mean, maybe in the future I'll buy one. But I mean, I already priced it, and for me, I think it was $2,800, and that doesn't even include the shipping. And I know it's not coming from Canada, so
Yeah.
okay. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab a beer. But I do have
The
a
one
question
thing
for you, Jason, when I get back.
Okay. The one thing with the Swordmans and the Allets of the world that I feel like is a really, really slick feature that the greens mowers miss is the interchangeability of the cartridges. Like being able to go from a Scarifier to a Dethatcher to a Broom to all your different reels. Like that's super useful. I've kind of solved the problem with the Sunjoe Scarifier, which actually worked pretty well. For verticutting the green, and I'm excited to see how that works once it actually is like alive and well. But yeah, the multiple cartridges and the Swordmans and Allets are
And the easy
really,
swap
really
ins
slick.
and stuff like that. Yeah. And you know what? I'm looking forward to using my Sunjoe as like the Scarfire on my green for the first time. It hasn't had it. Like there's some thatch there for sure. But I'm looking forward to it. That I'm hoping to do that in the next 2 weeks because we're just getting into the growing season. The good growing season because we've had like days in the 20s, or for you guys the 70s, and then back down to like -2 at night. So it's growing hit or miss. But
I do want to get some foam balls, Clark. To your point, I think it is Backyard Golfer has done a couple of videos on like the foam balls that he uses in his backyard, which is this like gorgeous vista in the mountains in Italy.
No,
I don't know if you're familiar with that channel.
I'm very intrigued.
Backyard Golfer, he's Italian, and it's like he's not the lawn care side. Like he has a putting green in his backyard and he maintains it okay, but it's not nice. Like you're not watching it for the lawn care side. He's much more golf oriented. So he's talking about the drills he's doing. He's got a big like hitting bay basically that he's constructed with nets and everything. And he's done a couple of videos on like foam balls and which ones work well and which don't. He's done a lot of product reviews on launch monitors in terms of like budget launch monitors and how well they work.
You can have like $300, I think, was like a low end one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one that he's kind of recommended is the Flight Scope Mevo, and then getting like the next level up, which is like $1,000. But
no, that's like a grand. Like that's I couldn't pay $1,000 for like a monitor to tell me that my fucking shot was shit.
Yeah. But at the same time, I know like you can really start to cause yourself some problems if you get like the cheapest monitor and it's not accurate and you start trying to do things based off of monitor information that isn't accurate.
I think there's actually an app that you can get that'll give you like a general feedback. It won't be in depth, but it'll give you a general feedback.
Yep.
Which I would try. I would try like an app, like even if it was like $10 or something like that. I would try just to like, club head speed. If it can read that, I'm not sure. Like,
yep. Oh yeah. Clark, there. Yes, it's like a PVC ring almost. It's not that, but it's like a PVC, like almost ring. But okay, what else do we have? Borrowed a backhoe and bought a kit for the in-ground pool. That's nutty. Brad got the green contoured out this weekend.
Nice.
Added a bunker. That's awesome.
A Bermuda seed. What kind of seed are you putting down, Brad? Just like a generic bent grass, or
Andy's Lawn Care and Maintenance. Have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping in. And yes, Jason, the question I was going to ask you: what is your favorite approach shot? If you're in close, give or take 20 yards to the green, what is your fanciest favorite shot to pull off when you're in close to a green?
I used to be good at the game. So like I used to be able to come in with that low, 1-2 hop
like a little
ball
pitch
that stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my wedges got very old and I got much worse at golf. So I don't have that shot anymore. So I don't really have anything fancy in the bag. I'm just trying to get it as close as possible. Everyone I
Yeah.
grew up playing golf with will tell you very readily that I'm probably the, if not the best, one of the best ball strikers in the group. But just a really poor short game.
Fair enough.
But
A
how about
flop
you?
Shot.
Yeah, that's one thing that's I'm definitely able to work on because it's about the only shot I can hit into a green that's only 20 feet
Well, I
deep.
don't know. Because watching Phil Mickelson and just the way that he like plays that shot all the time, I started practicing, like heavily practicing it. And I was on the golf course with a couple buddies one day, and I was kind of in a situation. I was like, I had to carry this bunker, but there's a whole bunch of hazards beyond the green, and they're like, what the fuck are you gonna do now? And they're all just laughing, right? Like, smoking weed. It's Canada, so we're having fun. So I was like, all right. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it, and I like a full swing, but like I had practiced, and the flop shot, this thing probably went 60 feet in the air and just came down within 10 feet of the pin, without an exaggeration. And they all just looked at me, they're like, really? I'm like, because it was a full swing, and they're like, did you mean to do that? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
What?
That's awesome. That is definitely like the shot to hit that
The
people
flop
think is
shot.
cool.
Because you can do a full swing, and it just goes way up.
Yep. The TaylorMade channel did a flop wall challenge with all those guys recently.
Brad.
Which that channel's fantastic, by the way. If you're into golf, there's a lot of really cool content on TaylorMade's YouTube channel.
Brad just commented. He said a Pure Select bent from Outside Pride. Is Outside Pride a brand, or is that like tee to green, like the Pure Select? So it's a mix of, I think, 3 cultivars. I think that's the Pen A1, Pen A4 mix. Am I correct on that?
See, I know nothing about any of this
Pure
seed.
Select is actually one that I might be overseeding with, and I just want to know if it's the same kind. Because he says from Outside Pride, but I don't recognize that name. But I know from Tee to Green, which is like the company, has a Pure Select, and it's a Pen A1, Pen A4, and there's something Seaside, I think, is in it. But
Okay. One thing I tried to reach out to Barenbrug, the social media guy, and see if I could get in contact with somebody to just like send me their bent grass. I think it's like Bengal, or whatever. And I got the
No.
no, not today, buddy. So I'm kind of hopeful if whenever the time comes that I do the next practice facility, or if it turns out that I'm going to need to seed the fairway, hopefully somebody will talk to me and maybe send me some seed. That would be nice.
Maybe, I don't know. I do want, my wife's best friend's father is actually a greenskeeper or groundskeeper, and he was talking to me about seed. And he's like, well, it's like $300 for like 5 pounds of like the seed that we use. I'm like, I didn't ask how much it was. I want to know what kind it is. Like, so I might talk to him, and he might be able to like maybe hook me up with like last year's product that they have, because to them like a year old is old, right, for a golf course. So maybe they can hook me up with that. But I am very curious about that Pure Select, Brad. If you're still here, do you know what the mixes are that's in it? Because I was heavily looking at the Pure Select over like other ones, just because of you don't need to fertilize as much. It's very drought tolerant, disease resistant to like dollar spot, which is very common. So yeah, I'm curious about that.
Oh man, yeah. Plus, the other thing with Barenbrug is they only sell in like 25-pound buckets.
Yeah, it's like a 5-gallon bucket. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
I would buy that.
And it's probably like $1 billion.
The price can be like kind of crazy, but if you can find like a decent one, like say you get 25 pounds for like $300, to me that's not bad. Because
the only thing is that's 25,000 square feet of bent grass. That's 2,000 square feet.
The whole yard will have it. But I don't know, for like overseeding, like if you Oh, sometimes like for me, you have like fungicides and stuff like that. If I get like a bad disease thing, I can't treat it, so I just have to essentially like dig it up and then plant over it with new seed. So for me to have that in
Okay.
storage is a good thing.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Not exactly.
I've tried to not seed it just because it's as kind of an experiment to see like how quickly and aggressively will bent actually
Yeah.
fill in.
And you said you just got like the bare bones, like you didn't even get the Pencross, right? You just got the generic off of Amazon.
Yes. The only thing is I think that generic off of Amazon may have been Pencross. And I just didn't
If
know
it is,
when I
then
bought
it's
it.
probably the exact same seed that I'm using.
But it was like it's like $9. Or no, it was like $25 for either 1 or 2
I
pounds.
think that's the same stuff. Did it come in like?
Because yeah, I remember looking at Seed Superstore and like a 2-pound bag of whatever their bent grass was like $250.
Was there like what was the name like on the bag of the seed that you got? Like, was there like, did it say Cedar Ranch on it?
I don't know. It might. I'd have to go look at it. I don't have it down here with me.
Message me on Instagram because I'll be curious. If it says Cedar Ranch on it, then I guarantee it's the exact same seed that I have on mine.
Yeah. One thing I have noticed is, so basically I killed sections, little like circles all around the green because I was spraying broadleaf with a mix that had tenacity and fusilade in it and quinclorac. So I went 3 for 3 basically, and so just cooked these little circles and then seeded that with the stuff from Amazon, and it is very, very lime in relation to the other grass that's on the green. It's much, much limer than everything that was there already.
That's what Brad said. He's not sure. A and G's, I believe. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's the same Pure Select that I was looking at. So I'd be interested to know how that goes. So Brad, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you don't, then if you're not subscribed to me, subscribe to me, and then just shoot me a message on one of my videos or something, because I'd be very curious to know how that seed does. Because I do want to, in the fall, I do want to overseed. Sure. I'm always overseeding, even when I don't need to. I'm like, I'm throwing some seed down.
Just making it rain up there.
I have to. If I get bare spots and stuff like that, I don't hesitate to throw more seed down. Like, because I don't have
that's why I like that Kentucky bluegrass.
Because I don't have Kentucky bluegrass, like, especially like yours is a mono stand, right? Like it's just pure.
It's a mix. It's 3. I think it's Midnight, Blue Bank,
okay, so
and
it's still
something else.
All Kentucky blue. Yeah, so it's gonna fill in, but I don't have that. Like I have Kentucky blue and like in the mix, but it's definitely not like 100% everywhere. So it's not gonna fill in.
Yeah, and it certainly does require some patience for the fill-in with KBG. Like, it's not going to happen in a couple weeks. You're going to have to wait a month or two, but it'll take.
I saw a comment on actually your video that like 60 to 90 days, like you have to be patient with it. Someone was like 60 to 90 days, and I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, but it's true. Like,
yeah, it takes forever. Which I will never do a fall like renovation again. I just won't. I'm gonna do spring only from now on. By the end of
the season, you'll see results. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is especially with me and my climate, like I'm not in Carolina trying to grow Kentucky bluegrass. I'm in Wisconsin trying to grow Kentucky bluegrass. So the summer is not like that big of a threat, and all of the problems that come with spring seeding are not hard to solve, right? The issue is like you're gonna have all this weed pressure. Well, that's one blanket and one spot spray of a herbicide, and that problem's solved. Like, I have so many problems in the phase 3 where I seeded last fall. It's thin, it's diseased. I have a lot more pressure from problem grasses that have come back because they germinated and established faster than Kentucky bluegrass did. Like, I'm spring renovations exclusively from now on.
You know what the funny thing is okay, so for like my backyard where the putting green is, which is what all my previous videos were on, like last season. And okay, so now if you look at my side yard and even in my front, there's dandelions popping up now. You know where you don't see them, which I have done no weed control for? In the back. It's because it's choked out by good grass. I never put
Interesting.
anything down. I was like, I'm just gonna out compete it with grass. If I see one, I'll pull it. But that's it. Just out compete
Yep.
it, and it's actually worked. Not one. And you can like, there's like a domination line in my own yard, and there's just no dandelions back there.
I have self-domination lines as well. Yeah, I have 3 very, very valiant dandelion soldiers in the Kentucky bluegrass in the front.
Analyst on Instagram.
I
I just saw the notification pop up.
Nice. We just lost your video. Did we lose you entirely?
I'm back.
And you're back.
I don't know what
All
that
right.
was.
Shirt. No, I forgot what I was just gonna say. Oh, have you ever seen I Am Legend?
Will Smith, one of the best movies ever.
Will Smith. Do you know the scene where the mannequin is out in the road?
Oh yeah.
And he like pulls over. What are you doing out here, Fred?
Yeah, and he's in the like library.
I wanted to recreate that because I literally had one dandelion in the Kentucky bluegrass, and I wanted to recreate that scene with that dandelion.
You should have done it.
But I haven't done it yet. That would have been hilarious. Like what are you doing out here, Fred?
Do like a cut scene of going back and forth to that. That would have been hilarious.
Yep. Yep.
And that is one of my favorite movies.
Especially at the end because he starts shooting it.
What would you shoot it with though?
I would have just played the footage from the video or from the movie.
I would have like found somewhere like with a Nerf gun or something like.
Yeah, we do have a couple Nerf guns in the house. That would have been a good idea.
Bring like a comedic thing. Did you see that one video that I did about dads when they want a new lawnmower? What happened?
Oh yes.
So I was looking at it, but I saw the prices, and I'm like, that's like the first thing. I'm like, oh fuck that! But I cut it out before I like swore.
Yeah.
And then I went and I just like kicked the lawnmower. I don't know. I laughed at that like numerous times. Even now, if I watch it, I'll just start laughing. Like so.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. I'm probably into a good spot to start wrapping up, but let's go to any questions from chat, anything you're doing, any last thoughts from anybody here watching. First of all, still 12 of you here. That's awesome. Thank you so much for hanging around. We're almost an hour and 40 into this thing. So
yeah,
greatly
absolutely.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for sticking around,
Any
guys.
last questions? Any last questions for either of us and anything specific to us? Otherwise, Ryan, any other final thoughts you got? Things you got coming up, or
I'm just
anything
really
like
looking
that?
forward to aerating my lawn with my old Viking tool because there's some compaction and it's definitely hindering progress. Like even with like having germination, but it's fighting to get through the dirt because it's just been walked on and driven on with lawn truck. Because I never really took care of the front and the side yard. I never focused on it, so it needs it. So that will be my next video for sure. Is aerating with my old. My wife calls it a Viking tool. She's like, you could just take that into the TV show and you'd fit right in.
Yeah, a good like makeshift post-apocalyptic type weapon.
And it is kind of deadly. She doesn't let her kid near it or anything. She doesn't like going near it. She's like, I don't want to look at it.
This is just nails poking out of this thing. Yeah. Papa Mo's Low, thanks for stopping by.
All right.
Do you got a timeline on parts for that aerator coming in? Because I feel like that's going to be awesome once you get it up and running.
The exhaust is sitting on my counter, and I'm still waiting on 2 clamps for 3 of the tines. So it's a 12-tine machine, but I only have 9 on there because one of the clamps, I guess over the years, it's just gone. So I'll have to have like a bolt welded on, or I'll drill it out myself and just put a new one in. I haven't decided. Whatever one's quicker, so I'll probably just drill it out myself. But yeah,
gotcha.
I don't know, until I get around to actually working on the machine, because I still got to build a deck, and that's the wife's wishes. So everything else takes the back burner. I know.
Man, yeah, I gotta replace some siding on the side of my garage that I may or may not have melted with a brush fire.
Yeah. Oh, was that? Did you have the video? Was that like the one of you with the brush fire that you're like using gas stuff, or the tiger torch? No,
not that one. I did for this fire as well, but I have fence that's fallen down. And so I threw a couple like 6-foot sections of fence on and railroad ties and then other brush and stuff. And it wouldn't start. And I was just getting angry and kept throwing more and more like stuff on it. And then it eventually took up, and I had realized pretty much almost immediately that I've made a mistake. And then,
so
it melted the siding.
Soon. Yeah, oh no. So it like blistered and like tore apart, and there was like holes in it and stuff.
It did okay. It didn't actually melt, but it like all
nice
buckled out. So like the side of my house is just, or not my house. It's like if I was going to ruin a section of siding, this was the section of siding to ruin because it's the least visible. But yeah, not ideal.
On Instagram just so I can have a good laugh.
Yeah, I can do that. Lawn analyst, thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words and appreciate you sticking around the whole time. Brad G, last thought. My biggest concern is trying to keep the bent from the green out of my bluegrass yard. Like, yeah, it's kind of a risk you're going to take, and you're probably not going to be able to do it with 100% accuracy. I think KBG will be strong enough to keep it out of there.
Yeah.
Yes, Grace, I do plan on filming it because I was mentioning earlier when I did the valve adjustment and valve repair on my mower, I want to try to include that in kind of a series of videos I do where it's like helpless man does things to like kind of be confidence inspiring for other people to be like, I have no experience, no training, no anything in doing this. I've watched a couple YouTube videos. Can I do this successfully? And if I do, then use it like kind of as a confidence boost for other people to be like, oh, I could do this too because I too am a helpless man.
I don't know. That's what I tried to do with you. It's just like, just go for it. But just try and give you the confidence. Just take it apart.
Yep. Yeah. Putting back together an engine component was definitely on the all-time list of things that I've accomplished mechanically.
And you're probably proud of it after. You're like, I just did that.
Yeah. The fact that mower still runs is, in terms of that type of thing, definitely a crowning achievement. But all right, when are you mowing? Like, when do you start mowing?
You know what? I have been mowing, believe it or not. Before I got the shingles, I've probably mowed 6 times. And I guess you could call them charity mows, but it is just like nipping the tip. But I know that encourages the grass to grow. So 6 times, and then I haven't mowed. So my last mow was, about a week and a half ago. Because of the rain. It's been raining, so I haven't had a chance. And now with the shingles, I just don't have time. And I see it grow. I was on the roof, and I was like seeing dandelions like sprout during the day. I'm like, for fuck's sake. Yeah, dive off the roof.
No!
Yeah, no.
God, no!
But
when do we get the spring putting green reveal? 2021.
What, you want me to just show it of how it's doing?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say give it 2 weeks because I haven't fertilized it and it needs it. But I've just been so busy. It's been usually it would have had one application early in the spring, and which isn't even prime growing season because it was still winter. We still got snow, and I don't. This week I'll be able to get some fertilizer on it, and then maybe 2 weeks. First video will be the aerating, which hopefully I'll have it next weekend, and then after that maybe I'll do a putting green reveal of how it's looking. Yeah,
I feel like that's those. I've always had success with those welcome to this year type video, and just here's what everything looks like right now, and then here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, here
type stuff. So plus I'm just interested to see it and see what it's looking like.
Yeah, I'll do it. You just won't be impressed. It's it's 3/4 of an inch long now.
Yeah, we got to get down to we gotta hunt for an eighth of an inch.
Because honestly, when I go and cut it 3/16, I'll scalp it. I don't care. It'll be fine. It's bent grass. But eighth of an inch is my goal for this fall.
Yep, that's the USGA. I went and looked it up. What's fairway height and what's greens height, and the USGA defines it as an eighth of an inch or less. So I was like, well. Looks like we're going for an eighth of an inch.
What's its
point? I think it's a quarter to 0.4. Yeah, or 0.3 to 0.4, somewhere in there.
Quarter to 3/8 of an inch, give or take.
Yeah, something like
I'll
that.
keep that in mind when I cut in my fairway.
Yeah, and they said like up to a half inch would be fine, but it just depends on like the playability
Yeah,
that
true.
you want
Probably
out of
depends
it.
on the tournament too. They probably cut it at certain like lengths for. Because what is it? Is it
Yeah,
the U.S. Open? All the rough is all like 4 inches or 5 inches long.
yeah, which like that I can't. I had when I was cutting my yard last year at 3.5 inches to like try to hit chip shots out of that when it was grown up like 5-6
Yeah,
inches
the
tall. It's
club just
impossible.
catches. But yeah,
All right. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna eventually get a video together on the leveling that I did in the side yard and how that seed growing is going. Go through that process. Gonna do the next $100 program application, weed killer and fertilizer, and then talk about the 2 Spectracide products. And yeah, that's the extent, and maybe a siding video, which Grace has recommended as well. So I'll try to get that filmed, and yeah, then I just make it up and wing it from there. Well, perfect. Well, I really appreciate you joining me. This was a lot of fun. Plus, it provided an additional 45 minutes of content from what I'm usually able to do talking to myself.
And thank you for having me. I actually really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to it. And thank you.
Perfect. Well, yeah, everybody go find Backwoods Lawn Care on YouTube, Backwoods Lawn Care on Instagram.
No, that's it.
Anywhere else? Alrighty. Well, with that, thank you everyone again. I really do appreciate all the interaction, all the comments, everybody hanging around, talking with us. Greatly appreciate it. It's a ton of fun. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.